Hi, I'm Jane and I love food and I love cooking, and it's a passion which my son Eddie shares with me. Now the great thing with Eddie is that he's a head chef, so he does most of the cooking in our household. You love food as well, don't you, Eddie?
I do, I absolutely love it. I guess that's why I do it for a living. We've
been out shopping and most of the ingredients that we're going to cook with today we have purchased through Food Secrets, which is a wonderful program run by the Council of Norwood, Payneham and St Peters. It's amazing what's in this council area. All these little producers making pasta and cheese and chocolate and wine, even making beautiful bread like this one we've got from Peru on McGill Road. So Chef, what are we actually making today?
Today we're going to make a Nduja Croque Monsieur. Nduja is a fresh salami pork sausage with loads of flavour chili through it. So it's quite spicy, soft and spreadable, and we're just going to put a bit through it. It's just going to give the sandwich some heat, a bit of a twist on a traditional croque monsieur.
And it's basically toasted cheese, isn't it?
Toasted ham and cheese, yeah.
Toasted ham and cheese.
We're going to start with our bechamel sauce because that takes the longest to cook. So over here we've just got our saucepan with a bit of milk, and we've just slightly heated up with some bay leaf and garlic. You can add peppercorn, onion to it.
So that just infuses some lovely flavours and gives it a bit more depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, it adds a bit more savouriness to it. So we need to make our roux, which is what thickens the sauce. And in a separate pan, we're going to add our butter and our flour on a low heat. It's important not to start aggressively because you will again burn your flour, or you could brown your flour as well.
It's one of the basic things you learn when you're first cooking is how to make a white sauce. We don't always get it right, and it's just these little subtle techniques like making sure you don't scald your milk and don't burn your butter that will add to that beautiful flavour.
Yeah, absolutely. Add the flour in. You see it thicken up quite quickly.
Yeah, really quickly.
And we'll just cook that out for about a minute or two so we don't have a floury sauce. Now you'll notice as soon as you add your first bit of milk, it'll thicken quite aggressively. Don't be disheartened. It's just the flour absorbing the milk. Also with this recipe, we want the bechamel to be a bit thicker because we're going to put it on top of the sandwich. So if it is super, super thin, it's going to run straight off and you're just going to have a wet sandwich. So it is nice to have it a little bit thicker than say if you were putting it on a mornay or something like that. So this is exactly what we want, nice and smooth and glossy. We're going to set that aside and build our sandwich. We're just going to cover it. What will happen is it will get a skin on it and then it will go all gross and funny. So we've just made a little cartouche there to cover it with.
You just made that out of baking paper?
Just baking paper, yeah. I mean, you don't have to cut it perfectly round like I did, but it is nice.
This loaf of bread from Peru on McGill Road is just so magnificent.
Sometimes it's like when you get a really beautifully plated plate of food at a restaurant and you don't want to eat into it.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have to bite the bullet.
Okay. Are you the man to do the slicing? Oh, listen to that crunch.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at that beautiful crust. I really like using a sourdough for this because it's quite a robust bread in terms of its structure. It's really like the engineering behind it, if you will, is really strong. So it can withstand a big filling, a heavy sauce on top, and then we're going to fry it in the pan as well. And also the flavor's delicious. First of all, we're going to spread our Nduja onto the bread. So
we actually bought this from Glimburn Gourmet on Glimburn Road. They've got amazing small goods there. They've got so much beautiful stock.
So with the Nduja, it depends how spicy you like it. That will be plenty for one side of bread for a regular civilian, if you will. Next up, we're going to add our mozzarella. This is from La Casa del Formaggio, which is another great producer in the area. So next up, we're just going to build our toasty. Start with our cheese.
So that's going to melt into like a really lovely gooey kind of, mess.
Yeah.
Really tasty.
Yeah. Then we're going to start with our gypsy ham that we got from Glimburn Gourmet.
Now, Glimburn Gourmet is a fantastic story. It's a family business, and it's like stepping into one of those delicatessens that you find in Italy that just have absolutely everything.
And then just a good twist of some cracked black pepper. Little sprinkling of salt. Don't have to go too crazy because the ham is quite salty. And then we're just going to
do the next one. Oh,
go back on
that's
top.
Going on the top of that one.
Yeah. So again, with this recipe, you can get creative with it and make some variants. If you're a vegetarian, you don't have to put the Nduja or the ham, you could do sauteed mushrooms. So that's built. We're just gonna put the lid on it and get it ready for cooking. Say if you've got 8 guests coming over to watch a game of sport or something, you can pre-build these, have them in the fridge.
So you could really get this ready a couple of hours before, put it in the fridge, have it ready to go.
So Mum, we've got our pan preheating. It's important to get it nice and hot beforehand, especially when the bread is nice and fresh like this and it's soft. It will stick to the pan quite badly. So into our pan, we're just gonna add a bit of olive oil as well. We've got this really lovely oil from Rio Vista, based in the Adelaide Hills. So we'll add a little bit of that in. Always good to get your pan a smidge hotter than you want it, because as soon as you add something to it, it's gonna cool the pan down.
Because those things take temperature out of the pan, don't they?
So what we're trying to do here is just get a really good color on the outside so it's nice and crunchy and delicious. So when we put our sauce on top, the bread's not going to go really soggy and sort of absorb all of the sauce. So you don't have to be thinking, oh, the cheese isn't melted, it's not ready to go in.
This is just to brown up the bread.
Correct.
Yep.
So that's exactly what we're looking for.
Oh, wow. Look at that, all bubbling away.
Yeah.
Looks delicious.
So just with this, Mum, grilling with baking paper under the grill sometimes can get a bit fiery. So I've just scrunched it up and run it under a tap just to moisten it a bit. Still might catch on fire, but it's going to help mitigate it as much as possible.
Okay.
We'll get that into our baking tray. Then we'll return back to our bechamel sauce. So now we're just going to lather that on.
Wow. I hope my doctor's not watching with my cholesterol.
So we're just going to get it under the grill to gratinate it a bit, which just means we just want to get a bit of color, want to caramelize the top and get it bubbly and delicious.
Is that just like a fancy word for making it go brown and crunchy?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right, Mama, so while that's cooking under the grill, we'll get our garnish ready, which is just going to be some chives and the Parmigiano Reggiano. So when you get a piece like this from the guys at Glenburn Gourmet, you can actually cut that wax off kind of once you wear it down, freeze it, keep it in the freezer, and you can add it to soups, stocks, sauces. You're getting extra flavor for no extra work. Mozzarella doesn't have heaps of flavor. It's quite milky, but it's like a very textural cheese. So it's going to give us a stretch, that chew, kind of what you experience when you eat pizza. And then we're going to get the sharpness and sort of that real saltiness from the Parmesan on top. So Mum, we've had this in there for about 8 to 10 minutes. It will vary, obviously, on your oven. So you've got that beautiful coloring there, Mum, and see how the sauce has sort of held itself? It
hasn't run over the edge.
Yeah. So for the Parmesan, Mum, I'm using a microplane. Really good with hard cheeses like this. It kind of does a really fine grate.
How's that?
Fantastic. And then we're just going to garnish with some chives.
It does make a difference when they're so finely chopped, when they're mingling with the grated Parmesan.
So we're just going to whack that in half, Mama.
Wow. Well,
Be
let's have a look.
with it.
Yep. It looks amazing.
So it's very decadent.
Oh, look at that. That looks incredible.
And that's the Nduja Croque Monsieur.
Hey, Eddie, we had so much fun making this.
We did.
Right from going shopping, going to Glenburn Gourmet, going to Prove. It's all part of Norwood, Payneham, St Peter's Council. And I've got to say, that looks really good, doesn't it?
All right, Mama, it's time to have a taste.
Wow, okay.
Dig in. Careful, the crust will be crusty and the contents will be hot.
Oh my goodness. I'm getting the ham and the cheese. I'm getting a little bit of the chili from the special sausage. All the different textures. So you've got the crispiness of the bread, you've got the gooeyiness of the mozzarella, then you've got the sauce on top. It's just amazing.
You could serve it with a really simple dressed leafy salad as well. Give you a bit of freshness to it.
Oh, it's delicious. Absolutely delicious.
That was fun.
It was so good fun.
Thanks, Mama.
Thanks, baby.